Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Jeremy and JP here out on Nonsuch Island. We're out here in a brief lull between two weather fronts. There's more bad weather coming in this afternoon, and we're going to finally do a check on one of the CahowCam birds. In this case, we believe the male bird from the CahowCam2, or what we call the R832 nest on Nonsuch Island here. And it's been a really interesting season. It began with two near misses by very large, powerful hurricanes, caused a lot of damage on the outer nesting islands, which had to be repaired before the birds returned. That took up most of the brief intervals of calm, relative calm, between very, very windy periods. It's been so windy since, it's been virtually impossible to get out to the islands, hardly at all. And I don't think I've ever been so far behind at this point on the 20th of November in my band checks and checks of all the birds that have returned to see who's nesting with who in which nests. It's great for the birds. They love stormy weather, they love wind and such. It's just not so good for us trying to get out to the islands and figure out what's going on. But so far it's been very successful. There's been a lot of activity. The birds, as I said, love stormy, windy, rainy weather. That's what they thrive on, really. And all the damage done by the hurricanes was completed, and so there doesn't seem to be any birds. We know we ended up with 156 confirmed breeding pairs, active breeding pairs that laid eggs in 2022. And that's a new record number. They raised a record number of, I believe it was 76 chicks, 76 successfully fledged chicks, 76 or 78. At this point it's a blur. But we've started the new season. The birds have almost 3/4 of the way through their nest building, courtship, mating period, and some of them are already starting to leave to go out to sea, and they'll spend the next 4 to 6 weeks out at sea. The males fattening up on food, getting ready to do the lion's share of the incubation once the female returns, and the females, of course, to develop these single very large eggs that can take up to 20% of their body mass, and that would be like a human having a 30-pound baby. So at this point we're just trying to get birds. We're trying to recover GLS tags that were put on up to 2 years ago. We've already seen 2, recovered 1. We have a birding group, Bob Flood, that's here, and yesterday out at sea we were able to photograph for the first time a cahow with a GLS tag prominent on its underside, just barely sticking above the plumage of the rear belly of the bird. So we're going to take a look. This, of course, is one of the biggest males in the population here at the CahowCam2 nest, but I expect he's going to have lost a lot of weight because he spent the last 3 weeks nest building, defending the nests against young cahows that are looking for new nests, and mating with the female, and a lot of allopreening and just strengthening that very important pair bond that they keep for most of their breeding lifespan. They generally are monogamous and can stay together for 20 or more years, each pair. So let's take a look at them. Oh, yes. Oh, no, you don't. He almost got loose down the tunnel, down the entrance tunnel, but not quite. Okay. Oh, yes. This is our big, he is a big, for a cahow, he's quite a big, strong bird. Very gentle, though. He does bite, but very seldom, compared to some of them, which every time you handle them, they leave you bleeding. And the interesting thing, I can tell a lot of the feathers on his back are very brownish. They're a brownish tint, and that's an indication he hasn't molted yet. Those are old feathers. They tend to bleach with the sun and become like a almost chestnutty brown color. the new plumage is always this beautiful, almost luminescent gray, different shades of gray, and of course white on the underside. But we're just going to take a look very briefly, see what his weight is. I can tell right now just from handling him, he's in great shape, which is incredible because these birds have been nesting for 12 years. They've raised 11 chicks in 12 years. They are one of the most successful pairs in the history of the banding program in the last 20 years. So that is remarkable. The CahowCam2 nest has nested the same length of time, 12 years. This will be the 13th year for both of them, and they've raised 7 chicks in 12 years. And that's about normal for a good pair of cows. Yeah, as I thought, this bird often comes in at like 400 to 450 grams the first return, and at this point he is down to, let's see, 340, so that's 320 grams minus the weight of the bag. 320, so he's probably lost 100 plus grams at this point. So 320 grams. Now I'm pretty sure this is E0174, which of course is the resident male in this. And he's such a big, strong bird, and we know he is very good at defending the nest, that it's not going to change, and it is indeed E0174. So this bird was banded as a chick when I moved it over from, I believe it was Green Island out there in 2005. So both the male and female are birds I translocated as chicks in 2005, cared for a month until they fledged. They fledged out to sea, returned 3 to 4 years later, and have been nesting ever since. So yeah, that's great. And it's interesting, even with the very wet, rainy conditions we've been having, he's still very immaculate. There's just a tiny bit of dirt on the tips of his tail. Otherwise, he's been going out to sea now, spending a lot of time in the nest with the female, allopreening each other, resting together, and mating, of course. But now she's spending longer and longer periods out to sea. This is normal. The poor CahowCam2 male has, the female hasn't come back for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Some people have been worried, but that's totally normal. That is an earlier returning pair. This is one of the late returning birds. So I am going to put the nest lid on properly. Let me just double bag him so he doesn't go out. And because I wasn't able to put it on exactly right one-handed. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to, at this point, return him to his nest through the entrance, because if you put him back into the nest chamber, he wants to get away from you, so he's going to run out and try and go out the door, and we don't want them to exit the nest in daylight. Look at that, he's settled down. He's such a calm bird compared to most of them. He's what I call my gentle giant, He really...
Still before you do that?
Certainly. Yeah, having said that, he'll probably bite me at any second now. But you can see it's got quite a powerful bill.
You look up at me?
It's short but powerful. Okay. Hey. Oh.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, I think we're ready to go. Yeah, he looks in great shape. I can feel even though he's at one of the periods where they're often at their lightest, he still feels a really good way. I can actually feel the fat and muscle on his body. So that's it, basically. I'm glad to see it's the same guy. This has been a very successful pair. The female had badly injured her foot about 4 years ago now, 3 to 4 years ago. And she successfully raised chicks all the 3 years since that, even though one foot looks like a gecko claw because she lost half of one toe and the webbing was split right back to the knuckle of it. So that's it. We're going to rush ashore now before the next lot of rain comes in. Everybody have a great day from Jeremy and JP on Nonsuch Island on increasingly cloudy Sunday, 20th of November 2022. And everybody have a good one. Okay. Yeah, he looks in great shape.